is there an action? Where is the action for me, right? As a person experiencing or facing bias, what is there for me to do? And then there is also the action from others, right? Which is more like systems, putting in place reforms that we need. So I'm going to say breaking the bias for me is from looking at the lens from, hey, where is the action for me? What can I do to break whatever bias I might have? It might be self-bias, that limiting self-talk that we have in our head, that negative talk track, hey, you can't do this, you can't move forward, you're not qualified. We actually self-bias, there's a bias that we have against ourselves sometimes when we self-reject, when we think, hey, and so the answer to that angle of self-bias is when you say why me or what can I do, I like to think why not me, right? So like if I'm thinking I'm not good enough, why do I think I'm not good enough? If I'm thinking, oh, I can't do this, why not? If I think I can't be in that space, why not? And to be frank, biases exist, like we know. But so what can we do about it? It's not enough to just talk about it. It's not has to be backed with action. Faith without works is pretty much dead. And so from that angle of self is, hey, I prep myself up. Hey, whatever bias there is, identify the bias. Is there an action for me to take? How do I take that action, right? But at least I need to know and acknowledge that there might be that place where I have to do something. Then from the angle of others or the systems, I would say, I mean, that pretty much is a bias that even though it's not within your circle of influence, it's in your circle of concern. So there is that bit of trying to talk to people, trying to figure out how we can, level this playing field, not just for ourselves, but for others. Sometimes speaking of for people gives you a strength that you do not know existed. Where you think, oh, look, it's not just for me, it's for all my sisters, it's for all the women, it's for all the people. I need to speak up and say, hey, there is bias in this area. This is what you should be doing. So I feel like there's an action that we can all take. One, from the self angle. Remember that you are enough. That is one. And then two, from the angle of saying, hey, there's a bias here. What can we all do together to overcome this bias and to create a level playing field for everyone? So when I hear break the bias, those are the things that come to mind for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lovelyn. I really like the aspect of, self-bias because I think up until now, I have not really, sat back to think about, okay, is bias internal or external? I think mostly the focus has always been on external bias, but, you bringing it up now, letting us know that it can actually stem from within us, and I think that is awesome. And I think that brings the consciousness to us all, to say that we cannot give what we don't have, you right? So if we are talking about bias, let's look internally first and be sure that, we don't have that resident within us and we can take it up from there. Awesome. Thank you, lovely. Sherifat, so what are your thoughts? What comes to mind when you hear, the hashtag break the bias?
Absolutely. I think Lauren said it. Leveling up the playing field, most particularly this year's theme, which is about breaking the bias, is just part of the effort, the continuous effort as doing it. So I've been part of the International Women's Day for 4 years. From 2019 is the Balance for Better. I choose to challenge each for equal. If you look at all these themes, it's still all part of trying to focus on just one thing, giving women the opportunity to thrive without blockers, without any issues, making sure that being a woman is not an hindrance to the extent to which you can get to your potential. It's not a problem. Like you don't have to make tough choices. I've seen women who have had to quit their jobs because they have children. I've seen women who, and because the company they work for have failed to support them. I've seen women who are looking for mentorship and they are being harassed because they want to go that next level. All of these are the biases that women face. I've seen women being shut down at meetings and not being allowed to make their points. So either subtle or at a very direct way, breaking the bias is just one of those efforts that the world in general is trying to make at really giving women opportunity to thrive. it is not, and a lot of people come and think that it is actually giving more advantage to women. No, it is not. It is removing barriers, removing those things, because there are some things you can't take away. It is only a woman that can get pregnant today, except, well, technology is going, and but today, as it is, still a woman that can get pregnant, that can bear children, that can breastfeed. So during those periods, what are they going to do to be able to say, I'm a woman and having my career is important to me, but at the same time, I deserve to have a child. I also deserve to nurture my child and be there for them. So breaking the barrier, the bias is all about that, removing all these blockers from our life so that we have that equal opportunity to thrive as being a woman.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sherifat. Great, great points there, right? So we are talking about, not losing out on opportunities just because of our gender, right? Just because we have to go on maternity leave, then we don't have to lose out on promotions. We don't have to lose out on training opportunities, just because we are women, right? So we are saying that, the whole world needs to acknowledge the place of women and the uniqueness that we bring to the table, right? Especially when we are talking about things, and we are now in an era where we are talking about people centricity, we are talking about empathy, we are talking about passion. These are things that we expect naturally comes to women, and if we are saying that the world should be more people centric and women naturally have all these capabilities, then you would expect that 90% of the boards should be, executive leadership boards should be women, right? But it's not happening. So definitely, just as Sherifat said, there are some hindrances, and we're going to be talking about some of them tonight and some of the things that we can do in order to remove these hindrances. So thank you so much on that. My second question to you, Lovelyn. There seems to be a glass ceiling for women, particularly in their careers. What is your opinion? What, in your opinion, are the causes for this glass ceiling for women?
That is a deep question. When we hear glass ceilings, and when I try to, look at what the word really means, and then see what I can unpack from. So there are many levels to unpack when it comes to glass ceilings. And I dare say that a lot of us have experienced these glass ceilings in quotes. So the way I see it, glass ceilings are pretty much just another word for them. I like to think is career inhibitors or career progression limiters. What are the things that limit you progressing in your career? And I've been reading this book. It's by my good friend. I'm fanzing at this point. My friend, not my good friend. It's by my friend Paul Harrietta and Holly Catalfamo. It's called The Invisible Rules. What's really holding women back, and how to fix it. And they had a whole chapter dedicated to this topic. And I took some things away from them. And I thought, you know how when someone puts words to something that you always thought, I'm like, oh, wow, that is exactly what I think it is. So some things that I took away from that book regarding the glass ceilings or the things that limit women in their career. Sherifat already mentioned one, which is that the place of that maternal, and it's actually called the maternal wall, according to my friend and his co-author. It's called the maternal wall, and that's one of them, right? And in that place, that bias comes from the fact that, and this is more like a career bender, right? So it makes your journey a little, depending on how people manage it and organizations and how the system manages it. But that talked about the fact that, again, to Sherifat's point, women are the ones who give birth, we're the ones who nurture children, we're the ones who take time off, we're the ones who have to take a pause sometimes to focus on children. And if your child, God help you, needs extra care, that is longer time away from the workplace for you, right? So that matters. And what happens is that when you take time away, your counterpart or your peer, who is not a woman, is still progressing, right? They're still progressing, they are still getting promoted, they are at home, they're not seeing, you're doing hard work, because we all know that it's hard, you're doing hard work, but it's not paid in quotes. So your counterpart at work is still moving on and progressing. And then you have those gaps where you have to take time off. And that wall is a big issue for a lot of women, because there's an age where we want to have children. There's an age where we want to take time away and give that priority of raising a family and pushing that to the top. For that, what happens is that when women now come back, right, they have to have delayed promotions. That's one. They think, oh, you know what? Maybe I should just not bother trying to move. I should just stay where they know me. I have credibility here. I can't move anymore. All these things just limit how we see that progression in our careers. And it's funny because that has an almost direct impact on the financial, like on the actual pockets, the balance sheets of women. Because when you have all those little breaks, your counterpart is moving, you're here. He's moving, you're here. He's earning more, you're here. You move a little bit and you're there. And so what happens is at the end of the day, that is part of why there is that pay gap between men and women because of things like that, right? And then when women come back and they feel, oh, there's no use competing with this person. They've moved so high. Let me just go back and stay at home. And then we now see that drain of women leaving to other areas where, there's no need to come. Let me just stay here. And for that one suggestion I'll say is that you have to have leaders or managers who are committed to helping you succeed, meaning that wherever you are, we will meet you there. You desire to be a leader. It doesn't matter what age you are. It might take you longer than your counterpart who is not a woman, but we will meet you at that point and we will work with you. Whether you get to 50 before you become a director, we are committing to work with you on getting to that point. That is one. Another bias, very quickly before I pass it on to Sherifat, is the prove it again bias, again from my friend's book. And it says that men are tend to be judged on potential, women are judged on performance. So what that means is that you come into a new company, me and Sherifat, maybe like Sherifat is a man, I know she's a woman, but she's a man, and we come into the same company, and then we get jobs. I'm doing really well, Sherifat is doing well. Again, there's different thoughts of how men and women should be, but we'll leave that for another topic. But what happens is that because I'm delicate, what's Lovelyn doing? I take time if I come back to have a baby. Oh, is she delivering? Meanwhile, Sherifat is doing well, I'm moving forward. So what happens in that case is that when I have a new role, a new assignment, a new job, a new career, because I'm being judged not on potential, and it's a data point that women are judged on performance. Because I'm being judged on performance, what happens is that I just keep, having to prove myself all the time. Every time I go, I'm proving myself. I go, I come back, I'm proving myself. I'm always having to show that, yes, I'm the best. Yes, I deserve to be here. Yes, even though I took time off, I deserve this promotion. Yes, even though I deserve that. It is always you having to prove yourself over and over. What happens is that women tend to say, you know what, there's no use moving. I all know that when we move about, that's where we get all those, pay raises, we get all those notches and all those things that matter to our bottom line. We stay in one place. That is a career limiter, in my opinion. If I'm wrong, my opinion is a career limiter. You don't get the mileage that you can get from, being able to move and, do different things and try stretch opportunities and take on big projects. So you stay in one place, and that is a ceiling. Right. So I feel like men and women are judged differently. We need to have leaders that understand that women bring a lot to the table, whether hard skills or soft skills. And that soft skills matter is another topic. I challenge that notion of soft skills. Soft skills are core skills. Soft skills are hard skills. Take it to the bank. That's my opinion. But women just we have to have a different way, a way that is proven successful, that works for women in judging our performance, in moving us through the line for promotion. So these are some biases, I think, that just create that, the couple that I think create that glass ceiling for women in their careers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lovelyn. Great points. As you were speaking, something came to my mind about something that I came across when I was studying, women in leadership, gender and leadership and stuff. And one of the things that was said was that we have this perception. So when we're looking at a leader, for instance, we already have this perception of what a leader should be. So, and when we have that perception of what a leader should be, we are thinking about somebody that is domineering, somebody that, can speak loudly, somebody that is confident, and if you look at it, these are things that naturally come to men.
Yes,
so because we have defined what leadership is, when we try to fit in women into those skills, it appears we're not fitting in,
Sure.
And, just to your point, we keep trying to prove ourselves. And, sometimes this backfires to women, because that's why you see that sometimes when women come into those positions, because we are constantly trying to show that we're performance, then we let go of, who we are internally, our capacities, as a person, as a woman, those things that come naturally to us, instead of leading from that perspective, we now find ourselves
soft skills. People can cause.
Exactly, exactly. So thank you so much, Lovelyn. Yeah, my next question to you, Sherifat. What are the most effective ways to counteract the negative stereotypes of feminism, especially in the workplace?
Okay, thank you. So to respond to this question, I'm going to make it two ways, right? And great points, great submission from both you and Lovely. On that point, I totally agree. So the most effective ways, I'm putting it in two ways when I'm thinking about this question, and as an individual, and then as a company that you work for. Because what we are talking about now is our career and being a woman thriving in our career. But as an individual, first of all of us, we need to first of all acknowledge that we are biased one way or the other. Let me give you all an example. If you can close your eyes and just imagine a nurse, what image comes to your mind? A woman.
A woman, yeah.
Try again and imagine a CEO, someone up there, is a man. One way or the other, we are all biased. In our consciousness, it comes naturally. But one of the ways in which we can help ourselves is to recognize that. Let's recognize that we are biased. And when deciding on making decisions or doing things, either at our workplace, even at home, I myself, I had to take a step back at some point. So I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I have two boys that are 9. And at some point last year, I realized that if I had any kitchen work to do, I'll just default to my daughter and call her. And the girl was just like, Mommy, oh, mommy, mommy, mommy. And I had to like, why do I think that she's the only one that can do this thing? And guess what happened? I just changed my mind and said, okay, I'm switching to the boys. Everybody, equal chores you do in the house. And they can do it. They are not handicapped. Let me tell you something. They were doing it well. They can wash plate, they can sweep, they can do everything that the girl was doing. So why limit it to only the girl? So we need to recognize that bias and challenge it before we act. Secondly, we shouldn't assume as an individual. A lot of assumptions. People just think that, okay, if someone says maybe in a meeting, oh, I'm making dinner tonight, and they just assume that it's the woman that has to make the dinner. These things form how we act and how we even pass the message down to people. It doesn't have to be a woman that will make the dinner. I have friends whose husbands cook better than them. And so what are we talking about? If I have a husband that cooks better than me, why am I cooking when he's a better cook? Do you understand? If I'm better at money management, why would I be the one in charge of the money or things like that? Why would my partner be in charge of the money if I'm a better finance, like our VP here? So why would my partner who isn't good with money be the one to manage the money if I'm better? Thirdly, we should make efforts to connect with people that are not like us. So a lot of us are very comfortable with, she looks like me, she's like me, and I'll stay in my space. To conquer things like this, we really need to make that extra effort. You really can't understand someone, and you can't do better if you do not understand them. And how do you understand people? You need to know them, you need to connect with them. I know we have just about 3.5 minutes for each question. And finally, for the individual, I'll come to the company part. If you, as a person, you experience being biased against, like something has happened to you, speak up. You need to talk about it. You need to challenge it immediately. You need to tell them, this is how I feel about this, and I don't like it. I would like it to stop. An example would be, you are in a team with, maybe in my field, most of the time, I find myself being the only female. And by default, some kind of admin work will just be pushed to you. Or they're having office birthday parties, and by default, they just believe it's the woman that should share the cake and things like that. If it's not your thing, you don't like cutting cake, or you don't like serving, or things like that. So I can't do this thing, please. And if you don't say no, it's going to continue forever. So I really, really encourage that, you speak up when things don't when you feel like this is not right, it doesn't work well with you. If you are cool with it, by no means, you can. Then as a company, we will really encourage, I believe we have leaders of company managers here in this call, or people aspiring to be. When we eventually get there, let us introduce bias training sensitizations for our employees. Let them learn on the negative impact of being biased to one another. This is important. You know, they need to learn. And the essence of learning is, to my second point, then there should be consequence management. If someone has done something that makes another person feel less of whom they are, or creates a blocker for them, then there should be disciplinary action. And then finally, companies should try to introduce programs, support for women, work from home. COVID has all taught us that work from home is possible. Flexi time, you know, I can work this hour during the day. This is when it's most convenient for me during the day, maybe when the kids are at school, and I can pause when they are back and continue when they are asleep. Things like that will really help to make our lives better, you know. And I think with this, we will be able to really, really reduce the effects of all of this, should I say, unfairness against women, and make it a better place for women to thrive at their work.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. What really touched me about what you said is the fact that we are all biased. So culturally, based on our culture, it's in depth within us. I remember growing up, and thankfully, I didn't fall into that category. Hearing things like the woman's place is in the kitchen, your certificates will end up in my kitchen. Honestly, right? I'm really glad that we're in the era where we're speaking up against, stereotyping. And you know what? Little things, just as you mentioned, as you're having an occasion at work and you have to be the one to, bring out the plates or cut the cake. Little things like that are, can be stereotyping, and we need to continue to speak up against this. So awesome. Thank you so much. My next question to you, Lovelyn. There's a perception that women seem to be hard on each other, judge each other. What are some intentional steps we can take to be more supportive of each other? I know I've seen some hashtags of women supporting women and all.
Women. I think that's the most popular hashtag these days. Women supporting women. Oh my goodness! So that it is so key that, first of all, that we support ourselves. Like to Sherifat's point, men in the mud. No, not men in the mud. Men support us as well. To Sherifat's point that it takes you sometimes understanding what someone is going through to be able to effectively challenge that and create solutions. And I think that's why women might just be the best people to support women, because we understand our challenges. We have the same journey on a very generalistic high level. We have the same journeys, we have the same issues, the shoe pinches in the same places. So women, we need to support women. And I think a lot of ways come to mind when I think of how we can support ourselves. I'll tell you one story. I met someone at work recently, and then she's pretty senior. I got to meet her. And I was looking at should I look at other opportunities? It's in the market. Let me check what elsewhere. So I was trying to find out, hey, what has it, how are things on that side? Just generally just networking. And the way she said to me, Lovelyn, I will tell you everything. You know how there's all this ambiguity around pay. Don't let me discuss my pay. Let me not, my people might hear, and then they might come and knock on my door. All those kind of things. She said, I will tell you everything, because I realized that this is why women are underpaid. We do not, this is one example, we do not talk about pay. We do not talk about benchmarking. This is what I'm paid to. Are you being underpaid? Let me tell you how to go about it. She said, I will tell you everything. And she told me, and she said, look, I won't tell a man, no. Men here, don't be annoyed. This is what she said, it's not me. She said, I won't tell a man, but I will tell you. That is a classic case of a woman supporting a man. She told me, when I say everything, she told me how to ask, how to negotiate, what she was earning, the ranges, the options, any wiggle room. And I was like, wow, this is a classic case. So that is one example. That is one intentional way that women can support ourselves in the, in the workplace. Transparency. When you see something that is not right, they're trying to, let me, this is not how it's done. Do it this way. or hey, this is how you should do this. Because at the end of the day, we all join, all at different places in our lives, right? It's someone that if you're ahead, and by the way, we are all ahead of somebody, there's always someone that you can support if you look. There's always someone. Don't think that, oh no, I'm not seeing enough. Everybody can support someone. When you look around and you think, hey, is there anything that I can be doing to help that woman? Is she being spoken over at a meeting? I can't tell how many times I've heard the feedback. Women say to me, Lovelyn, I'm always told to speak up. I'm always being told to speak up. What do I do? And I'm like, almost every woman I meet, and it's not just people, like even madams, say that they struggle sometimes, or they've heard it before in their careers where they say, oh, speak up, speak up. If you are a woman at that table and you find that a woman is not being, people are not amplifying her voice, people are not helping her, because we all need help. We're all different. Amplify that woman's voice and say, hey, no, that idea came from Sherifat. You cannot come and steal the idea because Sherifat did not speak loud enough. So stand up for women, advocate for women. If you are in rooms where there are no women, you need to find how to open the door for women. You need to advocate for women. The odds, the scale is already, like we all said, it's already imbalanced, the bias already. We have a lot that there's a long, like Scott said, there are many barriers and no shortcuts. There are many barriers and there's no shortcut. If you find a shortcut, help a woman. If you find a way to create a program that will help other women, put it in place. When you come up against a problem and you find a solution to that problem, people like me around, I will institutionalize this issue, this solution rather, put that in place. That is how we support women. It's not by mouth or hashtag women supporting women. No, it's actual action. And to your point, Enela, I see your point there. The truth is that there's a queen bee syndrome, and you're right. There is something called the queen bee. Oh, I'm the only one. I worked hard to get here. You need to work hard. It's just me. That actually exists. And in those cases, I guess for people like that, I have many things I could say to them, but I won't go into that conversation today. But yes, I'd say one is transparency is key in the spaces that you are. Look for ways. It might be small, but find ways to open the door for women, to speak up for women, to create a space for another woman by your side. It's not nice being only you at the table. It's not fun. Like Sherifat said to me, woman, it's not fun, right? So create spaces for women, put programs in place to help women amplify their voices. When you can actually give them information, again, go back to the health, the pay matter, give them information to make them better. Do it. It'll cost you nothing. Your candle or your light will not dim by lighting another person up. It won't. And tomorrow, the one might be helping you where you're going. So you're also being smart. Let me just lay the, I'm digging wells, so that the day I want to drink from those wells, I already have a pipeline ready, right? So that's another thing that I should think of. So I think those are some ways that we can help women. And so don't minimize the impact that you can have. So you support someone else, and there's someone else who will support you as well.
Thank you so much, Lovely. So let's stop paying lip service to women supporting women. Let's take action, right? Thank you so much. I saw in the chat box somebody said women are stubborn. Are we stubborn? No, we're not. It's stereotyping. We're not naturally stubborn. We are actually great people if you're patient enough, right, to listen to us. Just kidding. Okay, so my next question is to Sherifat. There are many women trying to forge change, make a difference. What are some ways we can encourage and celebrate them?
Very fantastic question. I want to quickly touch on Lovelyn's last point about supporting people behind you. There is a quote or an adage, I don't know exactly how it was structured, but you should know that if you're at the top, right, or at the peak of your career, or very close to the peak of your career, there's a very short distance in which you can grow more. You've done a lot. The people you should really be afraid of, not afraid, or you should really respect, are those coming behind you. Because you don't know to what height they are going to get to. You're only doing yourself if you fail to support women or people coming behind you. You're only doing yourself. I'll give you an example. I mentored some women in Nigeria, about 4 of them. And, they really wanted to get started in cybersecurity and all of them. And I just took it up. One of them called me, I think late last year, and she told me of the offer of the job she got. Ordinarily, I knew that this girl, in mentoring her, she has a lot of potential. she's going somewhere. And she recently got a very fantastic offer. And I just know that that's just a stepping stone. Now, tell me in the future, if maybe I'm well retired, I plan to retire early anyway, and I'm just there, and I need one help or the other. I'm not saying I'm going to beg, but my dear mentor, I have children now, right? My child is interested in something you're doing, or I have this cousin or niece or somebody. How can you help? Someone I dedicated my time to help. Don't you think that person will prioritize and really help me out? So if you fail to help anybody, you're actually doing yourself wrong. The set of people I don't joke with personally in my professional life are those people that are still trying to find their path, because you don't know to what extent they are going to get to. So I just wanted to drop that. So to the question about how can we, support women and celebrate them, Kemi, it's very easy, right? At one of the IWD session on Tuesday, there was a fantastic speaker, TD Bank organized the session, and there was the keynote speaker. She narrated a story which I want to tell you. I won't say the full extent, but in general, a group of women, they will come together. I think they had like an association, and they had businesses, and their businesses were struggling. So what would they do? They will come together weekend and go to a very popular restaurant, all sit down together and talk about one of their members, basically gossip about that member, but in a good way. So I'll just decide and say today, the rest of you, we will just decide and say, we want to talk about Lovelyn. And then we'll start. Do you know she's a fantastic financial advisor? Do you know that she will go this? And then they keep talking about it. And other people will hear in the restaurant. And then they keep spreading the news. And before you know, the business is booming. That is one of the ways in which what we can do. And today is even easier to do that, in the sense that we have social media.
Can you talk about Kemi, please? Talk about Kemi.
Kemi, exactly. It's even easier with social media. A woman will make a post. Some people, LinkedIn sometimes, I like to be visible on LinkedIn, I post. You see 5,000 views on your post, 3 likes. I'm like, what is the problem with people? I'm not saying, my essence of posting is not anyway for the likes, but I'm posting because I have something to share. But what will it cost you to celebrate another person? That thing in us is bad. We really need to stop it. And to stop it, you have to be deliberate. Have it in your mind that I want to celebrate this person. And when I celebrate this person, it doesn't take away my shine. What it can rather do is also propel you. It can even give you more visibility into your own area. So celebrating people, celebrating your fellow woman will go a long way. Let's stop this beefing or competing. No. The only person you should be in competition with is your old self, right? So that's one way to do it. And secondly, let's support one another. We are so far from home, especially those of us in Canada or living outside of Nigeria. If anything happens, or I need an immediate help now, I'm not going to go call my sister, my blood sister in Nigeria. I'm going to call people here first. If I have not been supporting people, how will they support me in return? We need to have that communal spirit, that community, supporting each other. Let's truly know that we truly have got the backs of each other. And that way, we will, showcase. Like someone needs a job and you know about it. How about writing a recommendation for that person on LinkedIn? Small things like you don't know who it will get to, and that person says, "Oh, let's get to hear about this person." So that would be my nuggets on that.
Thank you, Sherifat. Please, like, share, retweet anything Nifka posts. I'm seeing that in the chat box, but I really like that, what you've brought in terms of, a post. Sometimes, like most of my day when I'm working, I'm on YouTube, listening to what women listen to, entertainment news, that kind of thing. And sometimes I get to some pages, the news might not really be interesting, but just because, it doesn't cost me anything to like that post. And that person will get some money, right? It doesn't cost me anything to retweet. So let's please have the habit of supporting each other. There's an adage that, they say where I come from, Yoruba, they say that the sky is wide enough for everybody to fly in, so you can't stop anybody from where they're going to get to. But isn't it better for you to be part of that person's success story? So from today, ladies, let's be conscious about it, right? About supporting each other. Thank you.
Someone said 75 people online, only 3 people engaging on the Telegram group. Which is a great point, really.
Ladies, let's drop comments in the chat box. I'm seeing 20 chats on red. I've been reading. I should be seeing like 1,000 already. What's going on here? Let's do our thing, please. Let's be free. We are ladies. Like we like to talk. We like to showcase ourselves. So please, let's showcase ourselves in the chat box. Thank you. So my next question to you, Lovelyn, I just have a couple of more questions to go through. Then I'm going to be taking questions from everyone on here. So my next question, balancing act, career and motherhood. What are some challenges you can share, and what coping mechanisms do you employ?
It changes every day. That's what I can say. I mean, I hear a lot about people saying, oh, you don't call it work-life balance anymore, call it work-life management. Because that concept of balance might put pressure on us to always try to be perfect. It has to balance. It has to, if I'm dropping the ball here, I mean, I take it on myself. I'm not doing good enough. I'm a bad mother. I'm a bad worker. I'm a bad employee, all of that. So I like to say it's not work-life balance that we are striving for. It is management. And I like, it's the same way that we manage our tasks at work, prioritizing, hey, what is important today? If my child is sick today, number one, that's it. I'll prioritize my child. If children are okay, everything is fine. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm going to say there's a presentation. I need to be on point. I will move that to the top. That's one, prioritizing. And then, that differs. Today, what you define as very, very important that should be on the top might be different from tomorrow. Roll with the punches, right? Go with the flow. Outsourcing. I outsource everything I can outsource. My people that know me know that Lovelyn, minus the important bits. Please don't come. I see some, don't type the important. I don't outsource some things, but the ones that I can outsource, I outsource. Things like, even before I got a job, if I'm being honest, my baby was, when I came with a toddler, he was 2 years old. Before I got a job, I'm like, you know what, I need to look for a job. But this young man at home, how will I do it though? I said, well, let me look for how to save money and put him in a daycare for 3 days a week. And those 3 days I will focus on, I'm going out for meetings, I'm going out for this. I will put on everything I need to do in those 3 days, right? Not like I had plenty of money, but I'm like, you know what, I need to prioritize, depending on what you say, again, it depends on what you define as important for you, what you define as, this is what I need to do today, this is what is very important for me. If you can afford to clean your house and save you, if you have children, people like I have 3 young children and I don't have enough time with them during the week. So if I can find a way to save $20, save $10 so that I can outsource the cleaning of my house, I will give myself 3 hours. So I will take those 3 hours and do something that I think is meaningful. Some people, cleaning is therapeutic for you. If that is you, so everyone is different. I like to drive. If I need to drive, driving for me is a distressor. When I want to relax, when I want to really relax and decompress, I'm going for a long drive, right? And that's me. So those 2 hours for a drive, instead of being cleaning the house, I would rather take a drive and distress and decompress, right? So it just all depends on management, finding what works for you. Me, I outsource. If I want to outsource, I'm tired to cook and I have things, I will outsource the cooking. If anybody that cooks, ping me, I'm a foodlum. I outsource the cooking, I outsource the cleaning. Anything I can outsource, I outsource. And then I focus on the things that are important. Something that I cannot outsource being a mother to my children, right? I put that at the top. I cannot outsource being a wife to my husband. I put it somewhere at the top. I cannot outsource being, trying to, at least for my career, I want to progress, right? So some things are important. So I'd say, look for how to manage your your specific circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Do not be shamed into being superwoman.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be shamed to say, I must do everything to show that I must be dying so people can see that I'm suffering.
Mm-hmm.
You will die young, God forbid. But don't be shamed into being perfect. A lot of people are perfect. We want to be perfect, perfectionists. We strive to do everything must be bam, bam, bam. It's okay to let the ball slip, particularly in this area where, like Sherifat said, our support system is leaner. We don't have our sisters, we don't have our moms. We have to do a lot of things ourselves. Outsource, find a support system. There is no shame in trying to be superwoman. You are all super the way you are, just the way you are. Being a woman is plenty work. Let me not go into the other things that we face on the biological side. It is plenty work, right? So I'd say those are the important things that you should do. Outsource, find support in your tribe. Have a tribe that you can lean on for support as well. That helps with your mental state and your mindset. And that really, really helps with, keeping you stable and keeping you calm. Yeah,
Great.
that's it.
Thank you so much, Lovelyn. A key takeaway for me today is outsource. I remember 2 weeks ago, I had to like clean my entire house, and the whole weekend I got totally burnt out. And I called my brother and I was like, you know what? I was so tired. And he said, why didn't you outsource it? And he just clicked that, oh, actually, I could have done that. So I'm sure that a lot of other ladies here are also benefiting, like learning new stuff. If I didn't hear that 2 weeks ago, I'm hearing it today, and I'm taking it away. No more burnout for me. No way. Okay, awesome. So my next question to you, Sherifat. You currently work in a male-dominated sector, IT. What is your opinion? What, in your opinion, can be done to increase women representation in IT? And I know that that's an area that you're passionate about.
So, Kemi, if you permit me, I'll rephrase that question, right? If I answer straight, hey, my network, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was saying that I'll rephrase it a little bit, justice to it. And I think it should be that what can the organization or you as a woman, what should you expect from your company in order to support, being working in a male-dominated industry? And to be honest, when you look at it, tech is regarded as a male-dominated industry, engineering as well. But if you look at other areas like healthcare, law, the legal industry, NGOs, and faith-based organizations that are so-called female-dominated industry, there's still a lot of biases going on there. Discriminations are still happening there. So I don't think it has to do with a particular sector. It's just what should we do generally to have a better place, a better organization. And I'm putting the question back to the sector or to whoever is a leader. First of all, you have to set up policies and programs that support women. I have had, and on Twitter today, there was still a lady that reached out to me and said, I am strongly contemplating on leaving cybersecurity. She hasn't told me why. I've asked her what is the issue. But she said, every time I wake up and I feel that's the next thing I should do. If you find out, it's more around she's being shut down or she's being given tasks that do not really relate to her interest or things she wants to do. And it's generally a toxic environment for her. That's what I think. But I'm here to hear back from her. She's from Nigeria. She tweeted, she DM'd me about her. I'll try and get more details. As an organization or as a leader or, even as a person, do not tolerate harassment of any kind. There was a guy, before I came to Canada, I sit on the leadership team of GSK Nigeria. And at the LT meetings, this guy, I like to be vocal. I talk. I don't know. I don't think I'm confident, but I always talk. When I have something to say, I will say. And I've noticed the first time I noticed, maybe he's been doing it before, but I didn't just take notes. If I start making a point and I'm talking, you just cut me in. It pained me. I told one of the other guys, I said, did you notice what this person, of course, a man, he didn't notice it. I said, okay, I'll watch out. Maybe it was just me. Second time he did it. By the third time, when he said it in the meeting, and I said, so, please don't cut me when I'm talking. Let me make my point. You made yours. He came to me in the office later and said, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know that I was doing that to you. I said, you're always doing it. Do you remember this date? You did when I was talking about this. You shut me down. Do you remember? So speak up, reject it by fire. When they want to bring that harassment towards you, just like return it immediately. That I'm not going to take this. A lot of women face sexual harassment as well. Do not tolerate it. Don't condone it. If you see that it's beginning to look like it in a way, just immediately, take a firm standpoint against it and report accordingly, because that is a very, very serious issue, And as an organization, maybe from an individual point of view, this is another one you can't do much about. Organizations should make sure they have this, they should get rid of salary inequality, because it's actually an issue. If there are facts, there are records, there are reports that show that men earn more than women in the workplace. And with that, either being in tech, male-dominated, female-dominated, whatever industry, there will be that balance and more women will be able to work and we will be able to individually contribute as a person. There's a report that shows that I think about 45% or if not more of companies that have female leaders in their management team actually outperform their peers.
Yes.
So what are we talking about? Yeah. What are we talking about? So as a company, if you are not inclusive, not only being diverse, if you are not inclusive, you are not getting the best of the benefits of having women in your team and not supporting them to get to the top. And also because it's only women that can solve women's problem. Mm-hmm. It's only women. At one other company I worked at in Victoria Island, I'm trying to not mention their names. They were in my own team, in the whole of the infrastructure team, I think there were only two of us, two women. And guess what? We had to share the bathroom with the men. Until I was like, after 1 month, I was like, I'm not going to work here if you keep doing this. You need to go and create another bathroom. Do you understand? These are things you can't hear about. How can we be sharing bathroom with women when you're your thing in the month? You want, I don't just get it. And guess what? The facility manager was a woman, but she didn't think about it. So at times it just takes a lot more. But doing the proper thing, setting up policies, programs to support women, we really help. Okay.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. So when you started talking about bathroom, I remember a conversation I was having with like a group of friends, and one of them was part of a leadership team of an organization where they were all men. And they decided, you know what? Oh, we are not beginning to hear all this hashtag thing. Okay, let's bring a woman at least on board. So they decided to have a woman on board. Renovated a beautiful space for the women's office. So they spent a lot of money, a beautiful space. Then they built, a washroom and everything for the women. And the woman came and she was like, guess what? There was no mirror in the washroom, no mirror in the office. Can you beat that for a woman? This just reiterates the fact that sometimes it's only women that knows what women need, and we need them, in all those various spaces, right? So that they can bring, the positivity that they have, to the table as well. So thank you so much. I just have one more question for both of you. Then I'm going to be ready to take questions from everyone. I hope we are all ready with our questions, So, to Lovelyn, what advice do you have for our allies and those still on the fence, or on what it means to be an ally for the woman standing next to them?
So I think Sherifat already kind of gave an answer to this, but I'll just amplify her answer again. So it's that place of you cannot really solution design for a problem that you don't understand. if you're not feeling it on a personal, on some kind of level, if you're not getting to that place where you're like really, really understanding what these people are facing, really putting yourself in their shoes, really getting to speak to them, hang out with them, to say, hey, tell me, I really want to know what the issues are, then you really can't solution design. So I think first step is get to know them, get in those spaces. Look beyond your, I'm black, she's black, I'm white, we are white, we're both white together. Look beyond that, right? Look beyond your social circle and see, I want to get what you're dealing with. I mean, there's data, right? There's data to support all the things we are saying. There's data to support racism. There's data to support bias against women. There's data to support bias against Black people. There's data to support, so that you cannot argue with the data. There's data, right? So you cannot say, oh, it's a lie, I don't see it. It's there, we know it's there, right? So get in their spaces, like, tell me what it's like for you. Tell me what it's like when you feel like you can't get a ceiling above you. Tell me why you think it's there. Tell me how I can help. If you don't understand their experiences, you really cannot help them out. So first of all, I'll say you need to understand what the woman next to you is dealing with, particularly when she doesn't look like you, right? Don't assume that, oh, we're both women, we're in the same rat race. No, there's that place of women and gender inequality. Then there's now another layer, which most of us here fit, that intersection of also being Black. So there's also racial lines as well. So whatever issues women have, we have a compounded issue because there's also data to show that Black women and even Black men are subjected to a higher level of bias, right, and inequality. So yes, get to know them, get in their spaces, get out of your comfort zone, step out of the comfort zone, figure out what they are like. And then I heard something I thought was brilliant a couple of weeks ago, and it says, first impression is the basis for implicit bias, unconscious bias. All these whole colorism, thank you, Daily, I'll add colorism. All these whole, I met someone, they don't think like me, and you just make a snap judgment. That is where bias starts from. Again, Sherifat talked about it, where, we all have biases, right? So even those are like, I'm like, so first of all, wave first impression. You meet someone, let's say you meet me today, and on that day, we're doing small talk. They're talking about hockey. I don't play hockey. They're all white men or white, golf. I don't play. And it's small, you know how it is now, all of us know in the offices, that's small talk. But I don't relate with you. And then, Lovely is not talking. She's very dumb. Commercial in Igbo language. And so that is where that impression already starts to breed a bias. An ally, try not to make any snap judgments about people that don't look like you are not in your circle, right? Get step out of your comfort zone, get to know them. And when you have opportunities, again, to amplify their voices, when people are marginalized, they tend to, sometimes lack confidence in spaces. They tend to speak lower. They tend to not be sure because they feel out of place. As an ally, help them amplify their voices. Right? Hey, oh, did you hear what Lovelyn said? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Or even if it's not a great idea, okay, wow, that's interesting. Let's unpack that. But help them, right? And it's everyone, if they all do that, little good, all of that good will add up to something really, really, really big. So I say to allies, get out of your circle, meet people that don't look like you, get to know them, get to understand their struggles. Don't do first impression. Please waive first impression. Give people the chance to show you who they are, right? To show you that look, there's more a lot of the times than what you just see on the face of it. Those are some examples of ways I think allies can help the women standing next to them.
Thank you so much, Lovelyn. Great points there. I'll just move on to Sherifat. Sherifat, so what advice do you have for our allies? In what ways can they continue to support women?
And so you mean men, right? Or anybody?
Men, boys. Right?
Okay. So first off, I think it's extremely important that we nurture the allyship with men, and that is encouraged. You know why? If a man stands up and speaks to other men about the reason why they should get rid of their biases, about the reason why they should support programs that gives equal opportunities to everybody, man or woman, men are likely to listen to that man. Honestly, this is not being, they are most likely, because they'll feel like, oh, this is a man. Okay, let me hear. So for a man, they will actually go back and think about it and say, oh, for a man to reason that way, he must have a reason to be supportive. Okay, let me go research and do something about it. So it is important to all the men on this call, and there is no need for that competition, or there is no need to make anybody less of whom they are. We need each other, right? And to get more people into that game, in making things better, we need that allyship. And a lot of men, it's not only male children you have, right? If you do not set up these things now, and God is so good, bless some men with all girls. So if you don't solve all these problems now, your daughters are gonna, still get it. We need to all work together to make this world a better place for the generation coming after us, And also, if you as an ally, you see something that is happening that is not proper, speak up on behalf of that person. Some people are not just confident, they don't, and people have different backgrounds. You don't know what has happened to someone while they were growing up or their upbringing. Some people can't talk, they can't, but if you can stand as that big brother or that big, for that situation, to impact a change in that person's life, please do it. Speak up when you see that a woman is being discriminated. If you're in a position of power, you are a manager, or do something about supporting women, and of course making it, I'm not saying give favor, but of course just give that level playing ground for everybody, and encourage feedback, and then and definitely this will continue to foster more allyship with men. We get to see more men understand the importance of getting rid of all this discrimination or gender biases.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. I think one great point I took from both of you is that we have to respect everybody's individuality. Everybody is unique. So you don't have to be like me for me to support you, right? I need to respect that you're unique, you're different, and I should be able to support you in some way. And while you were talking, someone posted something in the chat box, and that really got to me. And it's together we can. So please, can you drop that in the chat box, everybody? Let it resonate. Together we can. That's the theme we take away tonight. Together we can. On this note, I'm ready to take questions from us. So if you have a question, please signify by raising your hands, and you'll be unmuted, and you have the floor to ask whatever question that you have. So please, let me see those hands coming up. Let's ask the questions. So
I think someone has already raised. Vera.
Yeah, Vera. Yeah, Vera, you have the floor. Can you please unmute? Awesome.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm not able to turn on my video because I'm in bed. I'm really happy to be part of this discussion. Being part of academia, this is more like a relaxed platform, because I don't hear all the theories and the jargons that keep your head spinning. So thank you so much for organizing this. I have 2 questions and a comment. I'll start with the questions. The first one is, how do we make men know that this fight against bias or this issue of feminism is not an attack on men or a competition? How do we make them know that this is not a competition? Or is it a competition? I can tell. That's my first question. The second one is, I believe we women have a role to play because we are in the position of changing this bias. For instance, naturally, we've been given the gift of nurturing children. But why do we still see this bias happening? I feel like we have the responsibility to change this bias or nip it in the bud once we are able to, give birth to children through socialization and all that. So why do we still see these biases happening? That's the second question. And the third one is a comment, like I said. I believe that the issue about women not supporting women is a perception that we have to diffuse, because a lot of women support women. When women are going to get married, we see women supporting them from the start of the planning to the end. When a woman gives birth, it's another woman that nurtures that woman to back to health. When a woman needs financial assistance, if she's not going for a loan and it's a soft loan, she's probably likely to approach another woman first. I think that a lot of people push out some of this issue about women not supporting women to trivialize the campaign. It is only natural that people will be competitive. We've seen men compete against each other when it comes to even political positions. We've seen men even to the point of killing another man just to get a position. Why are we not saying that men do not support men? I believe that women support women, and we only have to push for the fact that women should do more to support women. And so let's try as much as possible to deflate that notion that women do not support women. So that is my comment on that. Thank you very much to the presenters. I really enjoyed your discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Vera. So you have two questions. We have two panelists. I would allow them to take it one after the other. So who wants to go first?
So I can go for the first one, and saying that is there a competition with men, and how can we get men to understand it's not a competition? So first of all, it's no competition. I think I mentioned it even while I was talking, that we're in competition with no one, right? And men shouldn't really see it as that. We need each other. And to be honest, I think the first time when I was growing up, I never really noticed any difference being a woman until when I got my first job. I was posted to a bank, and the manager there, because I really wanted to get to the information security department to serve, and he gave me two reasons. One was, oh, you're a copper, security sensitive, we can't, But the second reason was that you are married, you want to close early now, you will not be able to work late. It doesn't make sense to do that to another woman, although that was the case of a man doing that. But I've also heard, and me, I've been so lucky that all the women I've worked with, to your point, Vera, they've been fantastic. My very first manager, she was the one that taught me about being vocal at meetings. She said, you have to talk, because you have to talk when decisions are going to be made about you. Even me, your immediate line manager, may not be there. But when you talk, when people that matter are there, they will remember you when they are making this decision. It was a woman. I've got so many guidance and coaching and mentorship from other women that has really helped. So, getting men to support us is, to be honest, I don't think is any extra burden that we should put on ourselves. We are all, going for the sake of generations yet unborn and those coming after us. It is only the proper thing to do. Having children, and you have male and female children, from inception, let them know that you all have the same, opportunities. My daughter, for instance, she eats anything kitchen. So it's always a war. But one of my sons loves to cook. Saturday morning, he's in the kitchen and you make breakfast for himself, his brother, and my daughter, who is probably still sleeping. Before, I used to make it a big issue. I try, and after a while, I'm like, okay, this is his interest. Understand people's individuality. This is what, and just leave them to do that. It will be fine. I really can't say much apart from we continue to talk about it. Next year, I'm sure the planning committee for international women, they're already working on another thing. We will continue to talk about it, because if we say that these biases are not happening, we are actually not telling the truth. It's still happening. It may be better where we are. I was on a Twitter space on that day, And one man came on the Twitter space and said, the earlier you women realize that the man is the head and you are the supporter, you are the neck, the better for you. They wanted to finish that man on that space. But there is still a lot of people that still have that mindset, and they need to change their mindset. It's not the right thing. We should just see that each of us, we have our strengths and our uniqueness, and we bring this to the table to support each other.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. So to the second question, Vera, I'd just like to ask that again. You wanted to know what are things that women can do to support each other, right? Is that the question?
No. The other one is that I believe women can play a role in changing these biases. Why is that not happening? We are at we are placed in a position where we can actually change this. So why are we still seeing the biases?
Awesome, thank you. I'll let Lovelyn take that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think I have a pretty non-conventional view to that. When we say women are in a position, I agree with you, women are in a position, right, sometimes to change those biases. But the truth is that sometimes with the way power or power play is set up, particularly in those male-dominated industries, where you just don't have the same equal numbers. You have more men than you have women, right? Sometimes when those kind of power imbalances exist, we women, we are talking and we are leaning in and we are shouting, but because we just don't have the numbers, sometimes our voices can be drowned, right? And that is the place where it's important to have allies, you know, to Sherifat's point and what a couple of you have said. It is the place to educate men that inclusion is not replacement. We're not taking your jobs. We're not coming for what is due to you. Inclusion is not replacement. What inclusion is having an opportunity to have diversity. And we all know what diversity can do to not just the bottom line, but to our environments. When you have diverse opinions, when you have diverse thoughts, it just makes things better. Diverse teams have better ideas. It's been proven. Diverse teams they make more money. Diversifying your portfolio, you're minimizing risk. Same thing applies to human capital. So I'd say to that point that is one. I don't think that women are not doing enough, you know, to be honest. And if anyone is not doing enough, please, I hope you've taken some points away from today to do more. But I don't think that's because I think sometimes in some industries, the truth is that the way policies are set up, the way teams are set up, have you heard of Zoom ceiling? I heard of that recently. Sorry. The way things are set up sometimes just is stacked in the favor of men. And when they have, you know how it is with numbers, that's where you have the louder voices. But if that being said, I also challenge women, right, where we can change the narrative, again, to my point of soft skills. When people say, oh, and think about it, it's just the way women and men, we kind of have, I like to think it's something more biological than just personalities. I think it's left brain, right brain, right? We just kind of tend to sometimes be nurturers. Not everyone, not generalizing, but we tend to be better at collaborating. We tend to be better at negotiating. We tend to be better at multitasking. And those things are seen as soft skills. Says who? I will change that narrative because I can tell you guys that is not a soft skill. A McKinsey report came out and said that with the way millennials now are set up, all the whole internet and, you know, video and everything is done, you know, not in person, that some skills that are going to go out of, that will be hard to find. They mentioned 3 skills: critical thinking, communication, great communication, and then they also mentioned collaboration. Is any of that a hard skill? In the way it is hardwired, those are soft skills, right? And that's also we tend to downplay soft skills, and that's what a lot of women have. But that is one narrative that I am always saying, nope, my skill of being able to figure out a problem and being able to diffuse tension, that is not a soft skill, that is a core skill. That is one way to change the narrative. And I think we can always challenge, let's think about some narratives that we know. Sherifat mentioned the whole cooking thing, men, women, that is one narrative. We challenge that narrative. And we say, nope, that's not the way it should be. Everyone, nobody was born to be in the kitchen. They don't write kitchen on our foreheads. Everyone deserves a place and a chance to be a chef. Allow them express themselves. So I say to your point, Vera, and it's a point I think is, yes, it might seem that way sometimes, but again, sometimes the numbers are against us, which is why we try to open the door for more women. Getting there, the more we are, the louder our voices are. And the second thing I'll say, the fact that we can change the narrative one by one, each person challenge your narrative, all of that. That's how I would respond to that.
Thank you so much, Lovelyn, for that great response. So we have 3 hands up, and I think I have a question in the chat box. That's 4 questions. If we tackle each, take 2 minutes, we should still be within our time frame to end this session in the next 8 minutes thereabouts. Because women are efficient, right? We are capable of managing our time and everything and everybody around us. So yeah, I'm going to Joan, if you could please unmute yourself and ask your question. I know you've been waiting a while.
Oh, actually, hi everyone. I actually meant to put my hand down because I had pretty much the same questions as Vera, but I also had a comment to pass on. I appreciate you, everyone, the speakers. You're amazing. It's funny that it's a man that referred me to this meeting, and I just kept texting this person. I was like, wow. I just met some amazing women. Thank you so much, Lovelyn. Thank you so much, Sherifat, and thank you so much, Charles. We really, I do appreciate you for this. I just had a comment. I had the same questions as Lovelyn, as Vera, and I think they've been answered pretty well, but I just had something to say that I feel that we didn't really tackle. One of the things that I feel that does bring the bias is where we exactly come from, how we are raised, what kind of homes we come from and all that. So I feel that it is our role to go back to the drawing board and see the root cause, because it all started from there. Our parents, our mothers, our grandmothers, they've all been raised in a way that your place is in the kitchen, every girl is supposed to get married, you don't have to speak of a man, your ideas are not relevant and all that. So I really do feel like it will be very important for us as the women of this generation to educate ourselves and educate those people around us, and even go back to the people in the older generation and educate them and let them know that, hey, when I speak up, it's not because I'm trying to fight you, it's not because I'm trying to be better than you, but these are my rights. I need to be heard. My voice has to be heard. I have to do better for myself. So I feel like this is something that a lot of us don't do. We kind of tend to say, our mothers are like that. It's their generation. It's past. It's gone. But when we educate, because at the end of the day, when you have kids, most of us, especially us who are from an African ancestry, when you have kids, you take your kids back to your mom. She's going to raise them the same way she raised you. She's going to tell them the same things she told you. So if you educate her, if you tell her that women have to do better for themselves, women can work, women can juggle the work ethics, they can be in the kitchen at the same time, and there is nothing different between a boy and a girl. I really feel that would be very important, and this is something that we really have to work on if we want to raise a better generation. But if we start rubbing it off from ourselves and start to teach ourselves, it's not going to be enough. We have to go back to the root cause and tell these people, teach the people around us, raise our kids in this manner between the boys and the girls. Let them know that there is no difference. You're just human, and the only difference we have is the sex. But other than that, we are all the same kind of people, and we can do just as much as men can do. So I just feel like it really has to go back there. A lot of us come from places like that, and people are traumatized, and we can hold conversations with these people, but it will be very, very important.
Sure. Thank you so much for that. Yes, taking it back, we're talking about backward integration and forward integration. So it's not okay, for us to just groom our kids, but we also need to take it back home, to our parents, to our generations, to let them know that this is no longer acceptable for the girl child. Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Abigail, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lovelyn. Thank you, Sherifat. I have a question, which is as a fallout of the particular comments Sherifat said about trying to speak in meetings and a particular person speaking down at her. Because I have it kind of like a similar situation. I won't say it's kind of similar. I have a situation that I was currently dealing with, and I felt maybe because I'm a person of color, I'm a woman, but I was like, no, maybe it's because I'm a person of color. But since there are two women that are really doing well in their field, I just thought, let me ask, yeah. Because there's a situation at work where when I'm commenting or when I'm like giving my opinion about something, nobody like gives feedback. I don't get like a feedback, and I have to ask, do you understand what I'm saying? And I know I wasn't speaking pidgin English, I wasn't speaking Yoruba. I was clear, I was speaking good English. So I don't understand where the, what's it called, the miscommunication or the lack of understanding is from. So I have to like repeat myself to be sure I'm being heard. Although I noticed today it wasn't that way, so I felt better today. So I felt maybe it took a while for them to get used to me or try to feel.
We are getting some feedback. Okay.
Feedback, yeah. So I felt maybe it took a while for them to get used to me or to get used to my competence or something. But I just want to ask, like, have you been in a situation where you feel like your competence is being questioned when people think you are not capable enough, or maybe it's because you're a female or you're a person of color and you really had to stand your ground to make your point known so they know that you are really competent? How do you handle such a situation and stuff? Yeah.
Okay. So Lovelyn, do you want to take that?
Sure. This almost goes back again to that bias that I talked about earlier, which is that prove it again bias, where you're always constantly having to, prove ourselves. We're having to prove that we are smart enough, we are qualified enough, we are good enough, I know what I'm saying, and it can feel tiring. And I don't know that I have a solution for that, but I guess I have some suggestions around. I learned something from someone, and the person said that, do you realize that, I never thought about it, do you realize that we communicate differently from, again, I don't want to say the people, Canadians, let me just, for lack of a, we kind of communicate differently. And when we think about it, right, a lot of our communication style, and which goes not just to verbal, non-verbal, everything, it's almost based on how we grew up, how we, all of those things, the culture, our experiences influences our communication style. So one thing I would say, again, is, of course, there might be some more sinister motive to the way they behave. Sometimes it's also just that break in communication. I'll tell you a little story. When I first joined my company, I felt I was hitting the same, like, I did not hear what, am I not speaking English? I mean, I speak English pretty well, don't I? Someone even told me, let me hear that, someone told me that, Lovely, when you speak, I can't hear what you're saying. Can we be typing? I said, me. That won't pay me. But back to your question, Abigail. So I realized that sometimes when I came against that wall, what I did was that I had to look for an external, non-biased third party to help me unpack it. Is there something? Because if you can't what I'm saying, that there's a problem. If you can't understand me, then there's a problem, right? It will either impact the work I'm doing or impact my feeling at work, but there's a problem somewhere. I thought, one, if I cannot influence them, I can say, you guys tell me. And I said to them, I said very clearly, if you don't understand me, please let me know. If it's in the construct of my grammar, let me know. If it's in the way I speak, feel free to say, Lovelyn, I didn't hear what you said. Don't speak over me or just pretend that I didn't say anything because you don't understand what I'm saying. Nobody gains it that way. So I was very clear to say, you guys, I've noticed there's an issue in this area, and I would appreciate your help, right, in making sure that I get across my message and making sure that my communication style is on point. I did that, that's one. Second thing, again, I found a third party, right? So there's always 2 points, there's them and there's me. Let me check myself. I'm not perfect, let me check myself. So I have a career coach, and I said, I have this issue, and I was something that I really, because to be a person of influence, you need to be able to communicate. It's a huge thing, it's a huge block. And so I used to have a sounding board, to understand nuances. Again, we're new in this environment. There are many things that sometimes when people say a sentence, I realize that there's another meaning beneath the sentence. They don't teach us that in school. There's no notebook for saying when someone says this is what they really mean, right? But having someone that can bounce ideas off of was helpful for me personally. So those two things. I ask them very clearly, let me know. Let me know when there's an issue, when there's a breakdown. I need to know. Don't speak over my head. Don't speak over my voice. Don't speak over that. It's important that to grow, and I know you want me to grow, we need to be on the same page. I don't know if that is helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add
thanks.
to that. I wanted to add to that valid point from Lovelyn. So another thing I think you can do, Abigail, is that don't assume that there is a reason, either because you're Black or a female. Yeah, try to just open your mind and give them the benefit of doubt that, okay, it seems they cannot understand. One thing I'll suggest, if possible, that you can do is after the meeting, summarize your thoughts in an email and send it to them. That these are my points at the meeting. Please let me know if you have any feedback, or if I know there may be some meetings where it may not really work for you to send a follow-up email, but if there are opportunities for you to, send an email, put your points, which I'm very sure are valid and important points and will benefit everyone, in an email and send to them, and also get that feedback, because it just could be that they cannot understand what you're saying. That's it.
Thank you, Sherifat, and thank you, Lovelyn. So we have 1 minute to answer Faith's question, 1 minute for Arolayo's question, and 1 minute for Adeni's question. So Faith, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Lovelyn and Sherifat. Really great points. I have 2 questions. So the first is, how do you deal with emotions at the workplace? Do you show it? I for one, I'm very quick to cry, and I'm not afraid to cry, with my manager. And today I made a really difficult decision. I let someone go from my team, and, with HR, and, at that meeting, she was crying, I was crying. By the numbers, she was the least, productive on the team, but, subjectively, she's really good, but it was a tough decision and I was crying. And I know in the eyes of HR, that was like a failure. Why would you cry when you're letting someone go? And sometimes even in one-on-one, discussions with my director, sometimes I do show emotions. What do you think? Do you think, in the long run, is that a minus, career-wise? Then the second question is, I don't know if, you both are the best to respond to it, but you can try, what advice would you give to women who deal with reverse, bias? Not all women have the motherly traits, not all women have that nurturing, compassionate, behavior, right? Some of them do have male traits, and, they struggle to try to still own that authenticity at the workplace. What advice do you have for women like that?
Thank you, Faith. Sherifat, do you want to take that?
Okay, yeah. So straight up, if I was going to respond to the first question about showing your emotions, I'm going to say, if your HR frowns or penalizes you because you've shown your emotion, they are displaying bias against you. Because it's who you are, right? You couldn't help it. It's a tough decision you took. You had to let someone go. What if you had your own choice? Maybe probably that person wouldn't be going. And you couldn't just control yourself, right? But at the same time, part of being a leader is the ability to own it. I'm not saying fake it till you make it, but pulling it together, and probably, I don't know how best you would have handled that situation, to be honest, because I'm quite emotional as well. And some situation may really get to me. But would I have cried at that go? Maybe after. Or I would just probably disconnect from the meeting immediately and blame it on network. I'm not saying we should lie, but would I have cried at that meeting? I'm not sure. Maybe Lovely can help here, but it's a tough one.
Let me jump in.
Yeah.
Science Club, put up your hand. We are plenty.
I'm here.
What I would say to that is, I've learned some things in this Canada. Let me tell you what I would do in that situation. You can't change who you are. And to your point, yes, women often are judged harshly. for being seen as emotional, right? It's the truth. We are judged like, oh, we can't handle stuff, we're emotional, Leadership traits, like someone said, the way leadership traits are, described is manly, assertive, those things. What I would say is that I would own my narrative. And someone told me this thing. I said, you know what? You can craft your brand. When you tell someone your story many times, to say, yes, even though I can say, that thing was really hard. I am such an empathetic person. I built this woman, I developed. Well, that story that you tell is the story that HR will tell to your guys when they say, why was fake crying? But when you don't say anything, so when you leave, so you can craft your story. And that's where we have some power. Whatever trait you have, introverts, crier, anything, you will put your story there. I am very empathetic. I'm a great leader. I take it personal when my people are let go because of it. I take it personal. And those are traits of a great leader. So I'd say, yes, don't change who you are. Craft your story, own your narrative. Oh, yes, I show emotion, but wow, you're good with stories. Craft the story, but own your story. Don't let someone else get in the space to tell your story for you, and then they craft it anyhow they want. That's how I would handle that situation. Then your second question around, you said
I wanted to add to that. Something came to my mind as we were talking. So maybe if it ever happens to any of us again, if it's possible to delay, I don't know if HR can be managed to say, must we take this decision right now? I think time helps at times. So if you ask for, can I have a day or half a day or something? Think this through. Let me go and do all my crying. Let me prepare my mind alone, and I'll come to that meeting. I'm not sure if you were able to manage it that way and tell them, I'm letting someone go in my team. Can we delay this decision half a day, or by one day, I'll do it tomorrow when I've had time to sleep over it? Maybe that would have been a positive. So in case things like this come up next time with HR, maybe you can push it, say, okay, guy, I need some time. Let me get my emotions right. It's important I'm coming here because I assume they would have told you ahead before the meeting that they are letting this person go. So sorry, Lovelyn, that just came to my mind.
I mean, we are here, we're learning. To your second question, and correct me if I go off track, but what I understand you're saying is that, what do you feel like an outlier when you don't show the regular, defined socialized traits of women? Is that what that is? Kind of like that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I would say, again, own your story. You are fake. No one can be fake, right? If you're not, and again, that's where stereotypes come from. And sometimes, again, I'm sure that here we've said a lot about women being women. Sometimes we also fit into these stereotypes. Not every woman is nurturing. Totally agree with you. Not every man, the way they say Asians are effeminate, all men, Asian men, that's a stereotype, which is not true. So I'd say, don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to not show who your real self is. Don't be afraid to hide parts of yourself. When you're open with who you are, very honest and transparent, and when you bring your full self, that quote is so subsidized. When you bring your full self to work, people are able to meet you where you are, right? I think something that can be hard is when you're not sure where you stand with people, two-sided, two-faced, they're not sure it's wishy-washy. I'm not this person, I'm not that person. So when you generalize, pointing out that they're generalizing, right? So that's a bias in itself, right? So you want to make that clear. So maybe it's for some people, they're like, oh, we've all men go on maternity leave. When she gets married, number says that was next, and have a baby. Maybe I don't want to get married. So pointing out that you should not, base your judgment, or you should not put everyone in a box. And the best person to do that is you, because when you feel like, oh, this doesn't align with me, then I need to say something about it. If I'm a nurturing person, then everything is fine with that stereotype. But so it's up to you again to say, hey, you know what? Educate them that this is not always the way it is. I'm like this, I'm like that. So I think, yes, educate, own it, don't be afraid to be different. That is where, again, diversity is really, really important.
Thank you so much, Lovelyn. Thank you, Sherifat. Great questions tonight. I know if we continue to discuss this, we have so many things to talk about. And, we want to hear ourselves speak. I think it even has, more impact when I hear these things from a woman. I've learned a lot tonight, but we're going to take the very last question from Ning Adeni Aminat. If you can unmute yourself. And this is a 50-second question and answer. So you have the floor, Adeni. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Honestly, this is a kind of meeting I wouldn't want to miss. I've really learned a lot this night. Yeah, one of the presenter made mention of glass lane the other time. Like, this is one of the kind of question that I've been struggling with all this while. Like, this glass ceiling is always there in the organization. Like, it's unseen, but it's there actually. And it's one of the barrier against every woman getting to their leadership, the most of their leadership status. My question is that, is it possible for this glass ceiling to be actually eradicated, or maybe not? I don't know. I've been struggling with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Adeni. Who is going to take that?
Okay, since you referred to my question, I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. I mean, if in an ideal world it would be eradicated, what I would say is a more pragmatic approach or more realistic approach is, you know how we gain inch by inch? We push it up small by small. Conversations like this, we push it a little bit. We say, hey, education, there are biases here. What can we do about these biases? Let's put things in place to move it up. And then we gain a little ground, we push it. So we keep on pushing, right? We keep on pushing it. And that might not sound scientific. It's a glass ceiling, right? So how can you move a ceiling? Again, I like to think very, very non-traditional. So that's one way. Can we break through that? Say yes. A lot of times, though, support is needed. And we know that the issues that women face, sometimes it's things like, in some countries, maternity leave is 3 months. So are we going to be breaking ceilings here in Canada and they're not breaking ceilings in Africa or places where, do you get? So a lot of times, the effort needed to crash or to break glass ceilings, policies are a huge, huge, huge part of it. Reforms are a huge part of it. Organizational, those things are huge, and it is not dependent on just the one you. Right? So yes, we want to break. So sometimes that push that we need to crash it, it's a humongous effort. It can happen. I tried it in my lifetime where there's gender equity all around, where there's racial equity, where there's no pay gap, where there's no. But we've been on this journey for a while. Let's be frank. So I'd say pragmatic is that we are all putting our hands, in the words of Desmond Tutu, he says, do your little bit of good where you are. Is this little bits of good put together that can overwhelm the world? That's how I think it is. We are all working towards it. Education, we push, keep pushing, keep pushing. One day we'll level this glass ceiling with where there's a concrete ceiling, and then there'll only be one ceiling. But we need to keep pushing. So it's small by small, day by day, and it might be hard to just do one large swoop and just push. So yes, that's what I would say to that. So yes, don't be this hard. It can be demotivating. I've been there. Someone said to me once, another time, I said, Lovelyn, don't fool yourself. There'll always be something. There'll always be something. We immigrants can never go beyond the point. And he met it really, and I thought, I see the point he's making because he's been there for a while. It's tough, but I am a dreamer. I am an optimist. I am a let's find the way out. I am a hey, there's something wrong. There must be a way to fix it. Let's figure it out. Traditional ways might not work. It might be non-traditional. It might be let's think out of the box. Let us put our hands together, and we can do it. Yes, together we can. Right? That's what we said. Together we can. That's what I would say to that.
Absolutely. I'm just going to add another point to it. Is, as an individual, one thing you can also do is make sure you are very good, if not the best at what you're doing. Right? So that when it comes to that point, when they want to make that decision, they look around and say, oh, she's the best. Oh, she's this. They have no choice, and then they put you there. And then also as a woman, we are nurturing people, not to excuse the men or the fathers. Let's do better with our children. Let's start teaching them right now that there's nothing like, oh, this is the role of a man, this is the role of a woman. You are individuals. Your strengths and weaknesses are unique to you. Make use of that. So those would be my addition to the fantastic points from Lovelyn.
Thank you, Sherifat. Thank you, Lovelyn. Together we can. It's been an awesome 1 hour, 45 minutes, right? Almost 2 hours, but women are special. Thank you so much, for all the information you shared with us today. Please, can we appreciate Sherifat and Lovelyn in the chat box? Please, let's appreciate them in the chat box. let's keep those chats coming. Let's appreciate them. Oh, I see that lovely love sign. Thank you, Adebiyi. Thank you, Eniola. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you, everyone. So we have a lot of takeaway. Let's go out and make a difference from today. Together we can. On this note, I think I'm drawing the curtain tonight, and I wish everybody a wonderful week ahead and wonderful years to come. And in our own generation, there is surely going to be a difference, in the way women are recognized in the society. So thank you so much and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye. It was
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you.